Right, hiya. Welcome back. Okay, thank you first of all again for those amazing comments over the course of the last few days since the weekend. This was a bit of a success, I might say so myself. Superb, but it did raise a few questions. So today I'm going to deal with this. We're going to put the tube in there. The light has arrived. I think you'll rather like it. And that will go down inside the tube there. So I'm going to weld that tube in place today. Put the back piece on it for the light to actually screw into, and start getting all that measurement and working out where it needs to be legal and safe and effective and still look good. You've got to combine all those things. If you're building something that's a bit artistic, it's no good if it's illegal for road use. And at the same time, if it's going to be legal, it doesn't have to be daffy and naff and look rubbish. It still can look cool. So that's the combination we've got to make. But before I do anything, I just want to ask a couple of things on this. There are a couple of very pertinent questions about this, about the way that I welded that in, the method that I used, and I want to just quickly whip this off and I'll show you the method I used and why I did it that way so it gives the best results. I'll just whip it off and I'll show you. Okay, so quite a common question was, I can see a gap there, Dill, what is that? Why is there a gap? Is that come undone? Has the weld come undone or something? No. Quite simply, what I did with this, to make sure that it didn't distort, I used tacking instead of seam welding. If your name's Rick Petco and you work for Orange County Choppers, you could probably have seam welded that all the way along with a TIG welder and got it absolutely perfect, and it would look great. But I'm not, and this isn't, so I didn't. And that method of stitching with tacks was the right way to go. So what I needed to do was to bring this piece of metal, overlap it that way on the top. So rather than rather than butt welding the two pieces and then hoping that I can make a strong weld along two butt touching two pieces of steel sheet that touch up, they just butt. Oh, I'm going to start again. Just cut. Right. Okay, so here's a common question. This is one that was asked a lot during the week. This gap here is, why did that not get welded? Is that welded properly? Is it strong? Yes, it is. There's a gap there, but it's purely because what I've done, because my name isn't Rick Petco, I can't seam weld with TIG all the way along and make a perfect weld on that like you do if you're making a fuel tank. I've had to just tack that all the way along, and the strongest way to do it is to have more metal overlapping. So what I did was quite simply, as you can see, on the inside here, I curved that across, welded at each end, and then tacked it all the way down either side with the overlapping steel. Then cut the overlapping steel off and then grind it back. So effectively it's still welded all the way along, nice and strong, ain't going anywhere. But on the inside, you get a nice clean joint. If I'd welded in there, as is kind of, I guess, obvious if you look at it, if you try welding in there, that's okay, you'll make a nice weld, but you're never going to grind that out. You're never going to make it look nice. You'd always have to put loads and loads of filler in there to make it look smooth. You'd have to cover it all up, and I want that kind of folded crease edge look. So I welded on the back where you can't see it, and that would just get a little thin skin of filler on the inside there. And the same goes for this the other way. I brought the steel this way, so I brought it in that way and then ground it back with all the welds being on the back, out of sight. So they'll get some sealant over them in order to stop them from rusting or any corrosion or anything. The whole thing will get probably some polyurethane stone chip paint, something that on the inside will just last no matter what, like a plastic coating, and it will never rot on the inside there. Completely sealed on the outside, little seal of filler, just a little tiny finger of filler in along there to seal that joint, and then paint it, and that will look fantastic. And it will look like it's just not welded, which will be awesome. That's what I want. So that's why I did that. Anyway, that's what we're doing today. Going to elongate that a little bit so that the tube goes in at the right angle. Once that fits, then we'll start making the back plate. Let's get stuck in. Well, that's 2 hours, coming at 9:30, it's 11:30 now, just to ream that hole out to the right angle so that that goes in horizontal to the ground. I've got the bike set up so that it's absolutely horizontal on its ride height. Where it will ride, I set the suspension up. I've jacked the chassis up with a wooden block underneath so that the bike is currently in its exact stance that it will ride up the road. So obviously it's no good having it pointed down like that because you won't see it, and it's certainly no good having it pointed upwards because again you won't see it. It's got to be pointing straight back as much as possible. Obviously suspension will vary as you ride along, but you can, it's the rest position is the only position you can set it, so that's where that is. Had to take probably another 8mm out of the bottom lip to get it to lift up, so even that projecting version of I did drawing it that way with a pencil, it's only approximate, you still need to finesse it. Right, there it is. It's a nice snug fit, and I can weld all the way around that without too much filler and bondo and bog and all the stuff you want to call it. That is now absolutely straight. So now let's get it off and cut a length of this out and prep it ready to put in. Plugged in there. Okay, back of the rear light will be in there. Screws poking out, plugs there. So if we go there, gives a nice 2-inch space for wiring without that wiring being kind of pinched or squashed or crammed in, which just looks pants. I reckon it's perfecto, baby. I reckon. There's a steel. Oh, come on, make a decision, boy. Make a decision. I want it right in there like that, real deep, but then it's going to clobber the ECU, so 2-inch gap. It's about as much as I can have, I reckon. I think. Like that there, baby. Right, I almost forgot. Show you the back light. I got this from Wemoto. Just have a look on their website. It's part number VM12682. There, shake, shake. Pretty cool. There you go. Ready for this? Cue the Iron Man music. Check that out. That is just so cool, ain't it? It kind of goes there, doesn't it? Tony Stark would love that, wouldn't he? That is just awesome. It's just a universal Street Fighter light, created, I suppose, by Wemoto just for universal use, but it's going to be absolutely perfect for this. It's going to live down inside there. You kind of won't see it really. I mean, you'll see the light that it gives out, but when you look down inside there you won't see. Right here. Now I'm hoping, see when it's on, I sort of looked at the pictures of this, the fact you can see the lens through there means that that's going to emit kind of streaks of light sideways, which I'm wondering if when you look down this, because I'm going to put some reflective coating inside there, as you can see it's a rusty old mess. This is mild steel tube that was chromed. As I said in the past, this was a table leg. It was one central leg that held a kind of garden table up. I threw the table away about 5 years ago, just rescued the leg out of metal, like you do. You know, chuck anything like that away, dear. You know, big leg for that's going to cost you a bit. So just ground all the chrome and the nickel off it, so it's now just bare steel, and that will go down inside there. Now, like I said, a chromy kind of shiny coating, either something that's put round the inside, maybe, I don't know, I'll buy something that will reflect, or just a coating. I'm sure that there's some paints. I mean, the wheel paints are pretty good. You can get 5-wheel chrome, you can get chrome effect paint, and that would be perfect inside there. But anyway, that hopefully then will stick. You get these lights coming out, so you might get a kind of, what I'm hoping for is like a kaleidoscope effect going on. Pretty cool. And if you look down in there, it won't be that long. This is going to get cut off. I think the top end is going to be that big, and the bottom end probably about that big, I guess. Where am I? All the way around, yeah. So it's only going to be about, it's only actually going to be about 4 inches down inside as far as the bottom of that's concerned, if that makes sense. But anyway, there you go. Absolutely love that. Tony Stark tail light. Awesome. I am Iron Man. Awesome. Right. Time for a cup of tea and we're going with it. Welcome back, Penny. What's up?
Look who just turned up.
Look who just turned up. Special guest in the house. Right, how's that, Penny? What do you reckon?
Cool.
Tony Stark would be happy, yeah?
Yeah.
Chuffed, baby. So there we go. That is exactly how I want it to be. And I believe that as I just did the pan across there, once this has got a silvery reflective lining inside it, I mean that's just sanded steel and that's still reflecting quite well. So as soon as that's got a proper reflective in there, that's going to really pop.
Reflect.
Yeah, it's going to dwell on the past, isn't it? Right, let's set the tail on. Right, yeah. Set the stuff all together now. That fits, doesn't it, Ben?
Yeah.
There we go. Right, number 74. There we are, done and dusted. I really am happy as Larry with that. I couldn't be more chuffed with my Tony Stark backlight. Absolutely love it. With that reflective in there, that's going to be absolutely fine. If not, I can move it so that it sits further out. I can have it right out here, just put a spacer in there. It's not an issue, but that's where I'm going to do it for now, for as far as the build is concerned. There will be some sealant over this, all these little joins and lines. It's properly beef welded on the other side. Seriously strong. It's just a finish on the front, and it'll just get body work when it comes, and then Satan Silver ready for Mac when he comes to do the artwork. This will get artwork as much as the rest will as well, so it'll all have the same, they'll all blend in, so the whole thing looks organic when it's done. Finally, people do like to critique us, don't they, Penny? Some people have been making a note of these bolts here, these little set screws or Allen screws I've been using, honestly, they're only temporary. They're only whilst I'm taking this on and off all the time for fabrication. Honestly, they're just easy, they're quick, they spin in, they're stainless, they're lovely and easy to use. I can do them up with a T-bar, fine. What I don't want to do is use expensive little machine set screws, which I'm going to use at the end for the sort of in and out of building it, because they'll get chewed up and buggered. So I'll put those in at the end when the whole thing is finished and it's painted. But for now, I'm just going to use these little set screws. And that exactly the same goes, if you remember, for the belly pan. I've just got ugly Allen screws holding the belly pan in and ugly Allen screws holding the little headlight cowling on. All of the bodywork is held on by just these things. Literally, just little bolts and nuts just out of my box. When the time comes, I'll buy some really cool fasteners, and the whole thing, the final build, it will get put together with really smart, neat looking fasteners that will really bring the job to a proper high-end finish. What do you reckon, Pen?
Don't panic.
Don't panic, Mr. Mandarin. Don't panic, like she said. Finally, next time I'm going to do something for the Harley Davidson next. I'm going to put that exhaust that I decatted, I'm going to put that on the switchback. I just want to hear what it sounds like with the cigar muffler. It's a bit of a weird thing, that muffler, but I'm going to put it on. You can have a listen to it, see what it sounds like. I think that big old Pro pipe is just too big, too beefy. So Harley Davidson video up next, back to that. And that's only because I'm waiting for all the materials for this. I've got to get paint, I've got to get some of the rubber strip to go around there. And while I'm waiting for that, I'll do something on the Harley for the weekend's video. Anything else, Ben?
See you then.
See you then. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Ride safe. See you next time.